All right, one final step here. And like I said earlier, there's not a whole lot to this. It's actually pretty straightforward and pretty simple as far as the amount of Python code that you need to write, because most of it is happening utilizing the built-in module CSV. Take a look. So we've got the module imported, we've got the file, we've opened it up, example.csv in read mode, and we're starting to read the contents of that file delimited by a comma. Now, the next step is we want to output the content. So I'm just going to say output CSV content. Now, in order to do this, I'm going to utilize a loop. And specifically, I'm going to use the for loop because it's going to work great to go through each of the line items within the collection that makes up our CSV file. So I'm going to use a for loop. I'm going to say for row. I'm just making up a variable here. This is going to be for each row in the RDR variable. Remember, the RDR variable, I created it here and I assigned it the value of reading the content of that CSV file. All right, there's my loop. Now I want to print out each of the rows. So I've got my loop. For each row in the RDR, what it's read, inside this variable right here, what it's read from that file, we're going to print out each of the rows. Now, there's actually one last thing I should do here. I'm going to say close the CSV. So here, we'll just say, let's see, what did I call it? I called it file.close. So I'm going to re-reference the file variable that we created earlier, and I'm going to use the close method just so we close it, it's out of memory once our application is done. And that's really it. So if I test this out, I'm going to save it, hit F5 on my keyboard to execute the module. Oh, what am I missing there? I got my colon. Oh, yeah, I'll save that, F5. Ooh, did I misspell delimiter? I knew I misspelled that. How do you spell delimiter? Delimiter. Oh, my apologies. My spelling is horrible, and I have to talk and type at the same time. No good. F5 again. All right, and there's the results of my CSV file. Not a whole lot to it. We're importing. That's the magic part right there. We understand all the basic concepts of programming within Python. Variables, logical statements, loops, and so on, utilizing modules, getting access to their functions. We understand those key principles, and you can program. We are opening the file, we're reading the contents, we're now outputting each row from that reader, and we'll close the file when we're all done with it. So try this if you didn't do it earlier, or if you did it a different way. Great, again, share that with us, right? Jump into the Q&A section. Post your code, take screenshots, whatever. Make sure you spell stuff correctly. Don't follow my example. Delimiter. Okay, get that in there. And we did a comma delimiter at that. Output that content to the screen. And just a side note, how is this being stored? How is it outputting it? What is that? What do the square brackets represent? Think about that for a moment. What does that mean? What does that tell you? Something that you could potentially do with that data. Just think about that, right? And that's where I'm going to stop it at right there. There's your project, right? This is all part of the reader. But we've got the second part, and we got to go through and write as well.